guys, we are back with Messy on Purpose, and I have Kellie here with me today, and her last name is Best, which is pretty cool, so we're going to get the best of her. Kellie, do you want to go ahead and do a little intro on yourself, and then we're going to dive into some who knows what topic at this point, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole story around my last name is hilarious, but, you know, if you're into manifesting, it does work. So, yes, I'm Kellie Best, and for the last 30 years, I've been serving as a neuromuscular therapist and an emotional directions coach and helping people kind of heal from their physical and emotional ailments. And I'm also the author of 3 books, Disposable Souls, which is based on a true event of human trafficking here in Texas. And then The Universe of Potential, A Healer's Guide to the Universe of Potential. And A Journey for the Soul, which is a workbook that helps people kind of get in touch with their emotional side and helps them overcome a lot of the fear and the anxiety that we're carrying around today that really impacts our life. So I also have a podcast. It's called Choice Beyond Logic. And that kind of gives us a little scientific reason for why we have emotions and why certain emotions come up, neurologically speaking. So it kind of helps all of us science nerds get in touch with the woo-woo side, you know. Got to embrace the woo.
I think we're all a nerd in some way, right?
To some degree, yes. I think so, too. Yes.
So what got you into that career path? What brought you to that point? Was it like a personal experience?
No, actually, I was a dental assistant for an oral surgeon for about 8 years. And this was back in the day when personal protection, like latex gloves, were just coming out on the market. And after wearing them for a few years, I developed a life-threatening latex allergy. But they had no idea that it was an allergy. They thought it was asthma. So they were treating me for asthma. Well, one day before surgery, I went in and I walked into the storage room, and we had just gotten in a whole shipment of latex gloves. And I went into anaphylactic shock, and the next thing I know, I woke up in the emergency room and couldn't go back to work anymore after that because the only treatment was avoidance. So, you know, well into a good career, and it was over in a day. So the doctor that I had worked for, he brought in, great doctor. Nobody ever left his office. He would bring in a massage therapist once a month on payday and order in lunch for all the staff members, and we would get massages and lunch. And that's how I got introduced to massage therapy. And that just kind of spiraled into me working more in the neurological medical side of massage therapy at the Austin Spine Center. So that's kind of how I got into it, and I've never looked back. It was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. It got me out of a career where I was stressed and anxiety, and it was a good reason, but it still was havoc on my body. Now I'm able to make people feel so much better. They look forward to coming to me as opposed to when I was a dental assistant. Nobody wants to go see the dentist, but more than likely, if you schedule the massage, you're looking forward to it.
Very cool, very cool. So it's funny how life takes turns, right? Like something's thrown at you, but it's not necessarily always a bad thing. Sometimes it puts us on the right path.
It's amazing how that doesn't unfold until like years later sometimes. You know, that hindsight is amazing, how you can see how everything just fell into place and you wouldn't change a thing now going back.
Yeah, like I look at some, like when you're going through some things, like something bad happens or whatever, like I do try to like, just because I've noticed that in life, right, that later on you're like, oh, thank God we went through that, or thank God I learned that, or, you know, like sometimes in the moment it's like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? But like when you sit back and you're like, well, there's a reason. There's a reason. Yeah. I know there's a reason. Let me try to find a reason.
Well, and that was part of me getting into life coaching too. It seems like life coaching is so, you know, widespread these days. But I was so interested in helping people take that chaotic moment of my world's falling apart. Everything's disintegrating. What do I do? You know, this is not the life I had intended, right? You turn around, you look at your life, and you're like, well, this didn't work out how I wanted. And so I wanted to help them take that moment and realize that there's a huge transformation happening. And although it does seem like everything's crashing, we're going to rebuild. And we're going to rebuild with intention this time. And your choices matter. So let's start making those choices that get you to the other side where you want to be. And that's been probably one of the best things in my career that I could ever have hoped for, is to see people physiologically and emotionally transform and living their best life. That's awesome, especially in today's world. You don't see too many people going, oh, yeah, I got this, no problem, I'm loving life. You don't hear that every day.
No, unfortunately, it's kind of gloomy and that like everyday average person, and they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Everything's just like doomsday. And it's really unfortunate to see majority of the population like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes from choices, though. I mean, not that I think we should stick our head in the sand or by any means. I think staying aware, especially coming from an abused background, right? As an abused person, you see all the problems, and so you try to mitigate, the damage as best as you can and navigate. But I also think that there's a way to make choices that help give you a better trajectory. So it feels good in the moment. You go from one feely good to another feely good, and you just kind of keep leapfrogging until you get to a place that feels good more often. I've been trying to tell my clients, they come in, they're always asking, well, how are you doing? And I'm like, dude, I'm coasting. Like, I don't go to extremes anymore. I do the, little waves. I don't like the extremes. And the extremes can be kind of scary. And right now we're living in a very polarized, extreme world.
It's hard. It's hard right now. And it's so divided with people and the way we think, and nobody really comes together. It's just a crazy, crazy time. I think what a lot of people miss too is, and I'm sure you've experienced this with life coaching, is people don't realize how many choices they actually have. Like, almost everything in your life is a choice. There's very few circumstances, right, that we are out of control. We can't do anything about. It happened to us. Someone passes away, someone abuses you. Like, you can't necessarily stop that. Mm-hmm. But there are choices you can make along the way to get to a better place. And that's every day. We wake up with the choice to do something different.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the very first things they taught us in massage therapy school, and I think that applies to anything in life, especially when it comes to choices, is intention is everything. If you can come from the right intention and go from there, the likelihood of success is a lot better than failure because your intention is good. Now, being aware, that's something completely different. And I think that kind of goes into where we sit there and say, I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to make the hard choices. I don't want to be disciplined, And discipline doesn't mean struggle. It doesn't mean sacrifice. It just means you have to have the willpower to do what you need to do in order to get the outcome you deserve. So...
Well, nothing happens without change, right? Like, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a new result. Like, it's just not going to happen. You can't keep crashing on your diet and lose weight. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Right, yeah. And that's the funny part is we get trapped into that whole loop of, the emotional connection. And I think that's why getting into emotional directing, I saw that dissonance, that disconnect that we have between, a habit, and if that habit doesn't happen right away, then now I feel like I need to go eat something because I'm bummed, I'm upset, or this didn't work out the way I want, so I'm going to go have a drink, or, we fall right back into those habits that put us in this position in the first place. So pointing out that, maybe you didn't have a great day, and maybe, it didn't work out the way you thought. Now, just wait, because when you're, 10 or 20 years ahead, you're going to look back at this moment and go, oh, I made the right choice, and it's paying off now. We're so into instant gratification these days that I think that if we don't get that immediate yes, then, it's lost.
It goes with that like 10-second attention span, right? The scrolling and all of that. Like, we just want everything instantly, and that's not how life works. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that you want in life take a grind that lasts for years.
Yeah. Well, I started learning that. I came from a very Western theory point of view going into massage. I didn't want to have anything to do with the energy or the woo or whatever it was. I was just very scientific. I need science. I need to know that this is really, viable. And I remember my instructor saying, you can't have one without the other. You have to stay balanced. You have to stay objective. And so learning how energy actually works, it's amazing. Like in those horror films, where the energy they have to get so much energy to show themselves, these ghosts and whatnot. It's true. Energy takes a lot longer to manifest through a membrane like we are than it does, say, water. You've seen vibrations on water and you see how fast it goes. Well, through dense material such as organic bodies, we don't feel it, but it takes a lot longer to get through the membrane in order to get out into the world. So I think learning about energy, which is starting to come online a lot more people are tapping into the woo and embracing it. And I think that's going to be a good thing for helping people get through a lot of the hard stuff either they've had or they're going to have.
It's so funny how people miss the disconnect on how things should have to balance, right? Like, say, logic versus emotion. We have to have a balance. We can't think too emotionally, but we also have to have some empathy when we're thinking logically, too. Yeah. And I think there's like a big disconnect, or there's the disconnect between the political sides right now, right? Like, we have all these people that are fully this way or fully that way, but like, we have to come together to actually get anything done. And that goes with anything, right? We have to have that both sides, the energy versus the scientific, like all of that goes hand in hand.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that goes to the energetics of everything, right? So if you think that we're living in literally a world of polarity, there's a North Pole and a South Pole, right? And we're turning. There's got to be a central force that allows that to happen, and that's us. So it's kind of like, which side are you going to feed? Are you going to go more towards the South Pole, or are you going to go more towards the North Pole? And it's extremes. So you have that central mass moving to the extreme, and that's why it feels so lopsided, because any given day, any given post, any given happenstance around the world, that changes.
And like, it's the same thing with like your consistency when you're doing something. It's not a straight line. It's not this straight path, right? It's that right. Up and down. It's, today I could only give 50%. That's all the energy I have. But tomorrow I give 75, and then the next day it's 20. And like, right. You're still working towards something. It's just a little bit more up and down.
Well, the intention, it goes back to intention, right? You showed up. That keeps the energy moving forward. That's growth. That's productivity. So eventually the law of the universe says, if I do this, then this has to happen. If that's my intention, then that's what happens, with the intention. The same could be said, I know it won't happen if I don't do it, right? You're not going to get to your goal if you don't get up out of bed and go and do whatever it is you got to do. It's not going to happen. So the opposite actually has to be true. So
that's really funny how many people I talk to about like health and fitness, because like I coach health and fitness too, and I love it. It's like a passion. Like, you bring it up and I'm ready to dive in, right? And so like that's people awesome. Ask me questions and I'm like, all right, let's go. And then they'll be like, how do I get abs? And I'm like, you just lose body fat. Like, you eat less. Like, it's that simple, right? And like, to me it's so simple, but to everybody else it's like this endless goal that you're never going to get to. And it's right. So funny how we all picture things differently, including the consistency.
Well, and it goes, I think, also to their mindset. In their mindset, when they're thinking, how do I get abs? You're like, oh, you're already in that defeatist mode. Like, you're never going to get them. Like, you should expect these. You've got them. We just got to find them. We just got to uncover them. And we know that if we don't get started, that's not going to happen. So let's get going, So that's, I love that. I love that you're actually moving energy through somebody's body and you're teaching them that too. So That's awesome.
With the life coaching, have you experienced, so this is something too that drives me nuts, and I can't wrap my head around it because I've never thought this way, but
Yeah.
a lot of people think that they start, and you started a job and went into a totally different career path. Granted, you like had a little bit of a push.
Right,
but-
right. Yeah, yeah.
But,
My whole world
like, a
fell
lot of
apart, but
people-
we turned it around, right?
Right. But a lot of people go into a job, they're working the same. So I'm from the Midwest, and
Yep.
it's very like, I do this job, I'm here the rest of my life until I retire, right?
Yep.
There's not
Yep.
a whole lot of trying new things, which is what probably made me kind of weird. I was kind of the black sheep. Like, I was always trying, I'd probably tried like 20 different types of jobs before I was like 22. But
Yeah.
it was like trying to figure out what I want to do. And I think like a lot of people get stuck. They see like not only like their path as like, this is it, this is as far as it goes, I'm stuck with this, I'm never going to make any more money, I'm never going to go do anything else, like this is it, right?
I'm going to stay in my hometown. I'm going to be around my people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they get so stuck in that, and a lot of that's generational, right? You see your parents do that, your grandparents do that. It's all generational. But what do you say to somebody who's kind of stuck in that, right? Like you're working with them, they want to make a change, but they don't see any path moving forward.
Well, I think for me, it would be really important to dig into why they want to. Because that seems to be where they're hesitating. You want to, but you're not really, you don't believe that it can happen. So when you want something, you make it happen. I don't think there's anybody on this earth that has ever really wanted something, tangible, like something physically that they could hold, that they can't get to some degree. So I would ask them, what is it what is the want? What is the desire? Where's that coming from? And make sure it's rooted in something that is meaningful to you. If you're just saying it because, I'm tired of being a fat ass, or I'm tired of, my clothes not fitting or whatever. Well, okay, all those are valid. I'm not saying they're not, but let's go into maybe what you would really want to be in shape for. I want to be in shape so that I'm able to be mobile and healthy throughout my life, my career. I want it to open up new directions. I want to try new things. I don't want to be stuck like my dad or my mom. Those are reasons that we can get you from here to there. So I think I would dive into what is their desire and where is it coming from.
So a good example, and let's just like play this out. I'm going to put my brother on blast. But he commented on a video that I posted. So I can't remember. I post so many videos. I don't remember what the video was. But he commented and he said something about like he's not doing good enough for his daughters, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not super close to my family, so I have no idea what his situation is by any means other than this conversation and messaging. And I was like, well, then do better. To me, it's that simple, right? Just do better. And he responds with, I'm not making enough money. And then he's like, we're living in a hotel. And I was like, well, then make more money, right? Like, find a trade. Trade jobs are huge right now, right? Like, get into a trade. It might take a little while, but you can get there. And he's like, well, I'm a diesel mechanic. And that's where it left, right? That's where it left. Instead of trying something new, that is who I am. So they're using an identification, right? And, like, how do you get somebody out of that identification? Another, like, example of, like, an identification that people stick with is, like, I'm vegan. I started this because I wanted to be healthier. I realize it's not, but now it's my identity and I'm going to stick with it. So like those kind of things, like even if it's not healthy for them, they're sticking with it because that's their identity. How do you get somebody out of that identity and then like onto a new path?
So on my podcast, Choice Beyond Logic, I actually went into this. It's a mindset. It's a mind framing thing that says, this is what I identify, and I can't leave myself open to see any other possibilities. If somebody has made that declaration, chances are that you are not going to change their mind. I mean, you can see that in political scopes today. There is no gray area for them at all. Fine. But I'm not going to beat my head against a wall to try to change your mind then. I'm going to go to my limit and politely, step aside. Some people you can't help. Simply put, you can't help. And some people, they want the help, they just don't know how to get there. Those are the people that I really try to work with. If I find somebody that has got a defensive mindset and they're not going to change, then all I'm going to do is waste my time and my energy in trying to change something that will never work. Believe me, I stayed in a marriage 20 years, way too long, to try to learn that lesson. So for me, it was more important to go to the ones that really did need my help and really wanted to learn on how to change their behavior. And those are the people that I really try to focus on. Not that the other people are lost causes, but you do have to accept some responsibility for not being open-minded.
And I think that comes into like who you take on as a client, right? So I'm like the same way. Like when I first started coaching health and fitness and kind of helping people, I really just focused on anyone that would want help, right? Like anyone that said they wanted help. I've learned you can't do that.
No.
It's a big
It's not
waste
always a
of
good
time.
fit. It's not always a good fit.
No.
Really is.
And even
either side.
Yeah, you have to vibe with them too, right? Like you have to be on the same page with things.
Yeah.
Like you can't. I'm very straightforward, very blunt. As you can see, it's simple. You want to see your abs? Eat less. Like it's that simple. And I'm very direct, which some people need the baby talk and the niceness,
hand holding.
I'm I'm not that person.
Me
and
either.
I know that. So if you need that, I will send you to somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
But there's also people that are just lost cause. Like not lost cause, but choosing to be a lost cause. They are choosing not to make a change, and no matter how many tools or how many things you give to them, if they don't use them, there's nothing.
It's not going to work.
I can't make you.
Right. Well, and I've had that in my practice too, where, people will come to me, for a particular, frozen shoulder or low back injury or, something like that. And so I'll work them, I'll do my part, and then I'll say, okay, this is your part. You have to go home. You have to stretch. You have to ice. You have to do the exercises that I've given you. You have to do that part, because you can't just keep coming in here every week, every other week, expecting me to fix you. I don't have a wand. That's not how this works. And if I did, I certainly wouldn't spend it on you. No. But, that
made me think of my dad. My dad during physical therapy after like shoulder surgery, he would go to the physical therapy and then not do anything at home. And he's like, it's just not getting better. And I was like, it's because you're not doing anything at home. Like you can't just go there, do what they're doing, and then nothing afterwards.
Well, and I think that ties into what we were saying, right? You have to do the work. You can't just expect, fairy dust to be sprinkled on you and everything's going to be fine. You actually have to go make the fairy dust happen. So, and that requires by setting the intention, showing up, doing the work. I'm sure you get that too. You work with somebody all day and you're like, we're getting these abs and I'm putting in the time and this is going to be great. And they go and eat 4 Big Macs or stop by Chick-fil-A on the way home. And you're like, wait, I know you're paying me, but there's this whole cycle of reciprocity where I'm putting time and energy into you. So you should put time and energy into you too with the good stuff. And one thing I have learned after 30 years of doing this work is I'm kind of at the latter stages of my career where I'm semi-retired, working a couple of days a week, but I'm also 55 and I'm starting to learn my body's not what it used to be. Bending over a table, putting blood, sweat, and tears into people to help them feel better and for them not to do the work. Doesn't happen anymore. I'm very selective about who I work with because all those years of time and energy, and then you look at what you've given as opposed to what they've given, it sucks. I gotta say, it sucks. But for the ones that you actually help, those are the ones that make it worth it. That's why I continue to still work the 2-3 days a week or whatever.
all about the embracing the mess. That's the fun part. I think it's kind of boring when you get to the end because now you got to make a new goal and start all over.
That's true. That's true. And for me, beginning a project is always the most fun. Like I sometimes
Yeah.
I have a hard time following through, and that's where the intention and the showing up. You have to keep showing up every day. That's where that comes in. But for those starting of the project, oh, I love those.
It's the fun part. It's the exciting part. You're starting something new. The little processes along the way. Like there's sometimes we're like, oh my God, I wish we could get to the end. But that's still,
Yeah.
it's just part of the ups and downs, of like working towards something. So yeah, I'm
Well,
all
and
about the mess.
to get back to your question about how to get people inspired who are normally, they have their mindset on not changing, identifying as a particular career or person or happenstance, financial background, whatever it is. I think that's the number one way to try to get them to change is through the excitement of something new, the excitement of possibilities. I know that a lot of people just can't feel excited about much of anything right now, but there is so much out there that can be done on a daily basis to lift your mood and to elevate you, meet people like yourself. There's nothing better, right? Nothing better than finding
And
a
I think a lot of
like-minded
that-
individual.
Yeah, it's finding people that are thinking like you, that you want to be like, people who inspire you. So if you're stuck around the same people that aren't doing anything, you're not going to want to do anything, Same with like going to the bar. So
Yeah.
like the people that they live for the weekend and they live for going to the bar after work and having drinks and happy hour. And
Yeah.
then like you don't want to be that person.
Right.
I've been there. I quit drinking when I was in my later 20s. And
Oh, nice.
everyone in Iowa, like everyone drank. Like that's what you did. So it was very weird. And now everyone's getting more sober. But back then, it was so abnormal to be sober that I got shamed for it. And like it's hard when you keep surrounding yourself with those same people. You got to just find other people that fit into the same circle that you want to be in.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned shame because I too quit drinking a long time ago, and I found in my experience with me and my friends and my family that drinking normally does come from shame. The emotion that you're trying to hide is shame. And then when you find somebody that's quit and you're shaming them, a double redundancy, like, who are you? I'm sorry, you don't know if you're pot or kettle right now.
Well, what it
Shaming
is
me?
it makes people uncomfortable because they're doing it to forget what they're doing, to have no feelings of what they're doing, make actions with no remorse. Like that is what you're doing. You're trying to numb yourself into like not caring, basically.
Yeah.
And when somebody isn't doing that, they might remember the stupid thing that you might do.
Right. Well, yeah, the intention of I want to escape my crappy situation, so I'm just going to go ahead and go further down that rabbit hole instead of making the choice that, oh, okay, yeah, how am I feeling right now being with somebody who doesn't drink? Why does that make me feel so uncomfortable? Oh, that's me? Oh, okay. Well, let me look at me. Let me make a change. Instead, I'm going to shame someone. And I can't imagine what it's like for these kids in school age. I just can't imagine dealing with it on that magnitude. But I think it's important that people can look at themselves with a little bit of compassion. Okay? Give yourself a little bit of grace. We don't live in a kind world all the time. So if you do have a drinking problem or you do suffer with addiction, or if you are in a relationship or at a job that you don't like, be soft with yourself a little bit and say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is awareness. I'm aware. Now I can start making choices to get myself out of this. Let me go get a trainer so I can feel physically strong. Let me go get, a massage therapist to help my body feel better. Those are things that can make you feel good in this physical reality now. And that helps,
It does, and it's crazy too that a lot of people don't realize how many free tools are at their exposure now. Like, we have YouTube, we have ChatGPT, we have endless ways to Google and look things up and learn, and you can literally educate yourself on anything. And you can dive into something to see if you're even interested in it. And like, we just sit and we just do the same patterns over and over and over again, and then wonder why nothing changes when we have all of this stuff at our fingertips.
Do you get like irritated with yourself when you find yourself on social media just dead scrolling?
I don't. You want to know why I don't dead scroll? I literally do not have time. I post so much that I'm putting stuff out there so much that I don't have time to even scroll.
That's the best answer I've ever heard. No, I don't have time for that. I ain't got time for that. I'm sorry. Watch my show. I ain't got time for that. Sorry.
We were just talking about this last night. My husband was scrolling, and I know when he's scrolling because he's a car guy, and it goes vroom, 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 you know, like in every, just a different room in the next one. And I was like, are you scrolling? And he's like, yeah, that's what I do. And I was like, okay. I was like, I've just spent like 20 minutes editing videos to post today. And he goes, yeah, everybody else puts videos out there for me to do this. And I was like,
oh my gosh,
we're such opposite.
That sounds like the conversation I have with my husband. So he's a techie, and so he games and he texts and he does his little things, and at night to wind down, that's what he does. He'll either play his game or he'll do. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, are you doing anything? Are you even getting any of the information you're scrolling by, or are you just, seeing the pattern of all these video thumbnails going by? That puts people in some type of I don't know, epileptic seizure. Why don't we try something a little bit more productive, like stay on one screen for 20 minutes. Let's see if we can do that. And then he's like, sure, find something entertaining to watch. Well,
that's
you got me
really
there.
bad now too, right?
Yeah.
So like, people turn things on the I'm guilty of this too, but I'm usually working on my computer while the TV's on in the background. But my husband, like, will scroll while watching TV, and like, he'll have like YouTube on, watching the same type of videos that he is scrolling. Or we turn on a movie and neither one of us are even watching it because we're too focused on something else. And I feel like a lot of people do that now. They turn on a movie, turn on a show, they're not watching it, they're just scrolling on their phone.
It's just noise. It's just noise. I have my doctor has, every year he sends you to what's called a health grade. And part in that health grade is they do an EEG while they show you different types of screens and things like that, and it measures how your focus level is. And mine came back, and my doctor goes, are you okay? Like, everything all right in your world? I was like, yeah, why? And he's like, well, just, do you find you have a hard time focusing? I said, are you telling me I've got dementia now? Is that where we're at? Like, I finally got my shit together, and now you're going to tell me I'm losing it? Like, what? And he said, no. He said, I don't think that's it. I think that, given your emotional history, being in an abusive relationship, dealing with the human trafficking thing, I think that your mind just doesn't stay on any one thing, that you're constantly scanning and breathing and constantly scanning and breathing. And I think that's kind of how we are with society. At any time, you've got your desktop, your laptop, your iPad, your iPhone, your iWatch. You've got so many different things calling for your attention. It's no wonder that we can focus to get out of bed. So, yeah, I like I said, I notice that when I do get on social media, I have to be very, very cognizant of don't scroll, answer whatever you have to answer, and get off. You don't have to stay there for any length of time, because I think, gosh, it's time we're not getting back at the end, y'all. I mean, we're not going to get this time back. So,
I have people that send me like memes and like little videos and stuff, and like I look at like the message and I'm like, yeah, I'm not looking at that right now. I ain't got time for that.
I ain't got time for that. Yes, I know. We need to bring that meme back of that woman that was like, I ain't got time for that. Because it's true.
I feel that one on a daily basis.
Yes, we do. We need to get to a point where we're prioritizing our time a little bit more, because it is so precious right now. It's going by so fast.
I get made fun of by my husband. Oh yeah, it's like, where did the year go? I literally like time block my day in my head, so I'm straight up crazy. I will admit that. But like I just want to achieve all the things I want to achieve. So like for me, doing as many things in a day is so important because I'm trying to get somewhere and I know what it takes to get there, and I will double my work to get there.
Yes.
So like right now I have this podcast. I'm on someone else's podcast. I help with like editing for that. I do all of my editing. I do all of my posting. I schedule all of this stuff. I literally do everything myself. And then on top of it, I post about 18 to 20 videos on social media outside of the podcast post a day. And then,
I'm tired from just listening to you. You need a massage.
That's just the social media. I'm not very good at sitting still. I've never been really good at it. So like massages are really hard for me, believe it or not. Like just sitting there, I don't do well with that. Or like meditation, I've never been able to shut my brain off. Like it just doesn't shut off. So like I'm just like a go person. I also have severe ADHD. But
yeah, I get that.
But yes. So like between that and then I work, so I probably spend 40 hours a week on social media alone, if you include like the podcast stuff and everything. And then on top of that, I work 40 hours a week. I do other little odd jobs on the side. I stay very I go to the gym consistently. I can tell you with a full schedule, you can still fit fitness in. And eating healthy. I can personally say that.
That's awesome.
You just have to manage your time well. And so like I time block my day. Like in my head. Not even like on a calendar or anything. I know exactly, like I can do it all in my head without losing track. I can literally see it in my head. Like it's crazy. And my husband makes fun of me all the time because he's like, yeah, you already got your daytime blocked. And then I'll just be like, hey, what do you got going on for the day? He's like, why do you always ask me that?
Well, I have 2 minutes in between this and that, so we could have a smoothie.
It's like, do you want to grab lunch today? I got time at 1:15.
Oh my God! So how do you prevent burnout then? Because you're always going, and we only have a finite amount of energy. I know you're considerably young, so that's great. But when you get into your later years, are you worried or concerned about burning out?
I get burnout, but like, so to get over that,
it won't hit you until you're 50. It'll hit you when you're 50. I push through it.
I think I didn't have the easiest growing up. Like a lot of things that I had to work out mentally, and like for me, so like being mentally tougher than like your average person, I look at it like, oh, you can keep going, and I just push myself. And then like once I get past that, like I'm burnt out, I'm tired, I reset. It's like a reset for me. As long as I keep pushing forward. It's kind of like when I'm in the gym and I'm tired and I'm sore. If I push through that next workout as hard as possible, I'm amped and I'm ready to go for the next one. And it's just kind of how I process. Not many people are like me, and I know that. I am an absolute crazy person. But
that's okay. We need crazy. We need a good crazy. We're done with the old crazy. We need new crazy.
It is a good crazy, at least. Everything I do has intention to be good.
Well, and you're in a world of service. You're providing a service for people and helping them focus on their health, or helping to bring awareness to the topics that you discuss on your podcast or whatever. So, at least you're in service. You're not just dead scrolling or, whatever it is people do with mindless activity. I don't know. The world is going so fast. Yeah, purpose.
It is. This year's just flown by. I don't even know how it's November next week. This weekend, actually. And like,
oh my gosh, already.
I think purpose plays a huge role, right? Like, I just want to make a big impact. I want to leave this world knowing that I've made a difference, and not just in the growth of my own life, but for other people. And that's where this podcast came into play, right? Like, let's learn from each other. Let's learn that not everybody's going through this thing alone. Other people are going through it too. There's ways out of it. Like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe you don't see it, but let's talk about it, and maybe you'll see it when we're done talking about it. And that was the idea behind the podcast, helping others with health and fitness. I've went in and out of doing that for years. And a lot of it, like I'd get kind of burnt out on the people that just kind of give up.
Yeah.
I put my heart and soul into every tool I give you, and then you did nothing with it. And I've had people, I literally said that to them. I was like, so I've done this for a lot of people. I was like, I really only want to do this if you're serious. Oh yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious. And you give them the stuff, they do one day, they quit. And
Yeah.
like, it is the most heartbreaking thing you could possibly do to me is like not use the tools and help yourself with everything that I'm putting into you, because I care more than you. And that's what it comes down to. And I think having that purpose and knowing that like I'm doing this for a reason and I will make a difference, even if it's just to one person. And I think that keeps me going. And a lot of people
when you
don't find what they need to pull them, right? That purpose, that why that you were talking about earlier, that thing that gets you going, gets you ready, keeps you going. If we don't
is
have
that one person, that one person can
just
really
one
do it.
person.
Yeah. And isn't it wonderful to be that one person? You know, that's another thing that I use to inspire, people when I'm working with them. For instance, like your brother, I'm not doing well enough for my girls because I'm not making enough money because I'm a welder. Is that what he does?
A diesel mechanic.
Diesel mechanic, yeah.
I think that's what it was.
So all those things are the why, but are they really? I mean, why, instead of saying I'm not because, why don't you say I'm going to be because? I'm going to change my situation because I want to inspire my daughters to show them that, they can have better. They can, they deserve better, or, something more to the positive as opposed to something to the negative of why I am the way I am. Like, not that it's an excuse, but after a while it starts becoming an excuse. If you start buying into it and believing it and then basing all the other whys on that excuse, then, I don't know, I suggest that the other way is better. Because not only would
you could
he
trick
benefit,
yourself into believing anything.
well, not only would he benefit, but his daughters would benefit, right? You know how kids are. They watch what you do. They absorb your energy. And if they're going to be carrying around that kind of energy, that's a heavy load to carry.
That's that generational trauma, right? Like, we see our parents, we see what they did, we learned from them. Now we wrap into the habits of them. And then that gets passed on and passed on and passed on unless we choose to make a different choice.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people it's like seeing the door but not being able to get through the door. They know what they should do, but getting the desire or the incentive or even the inspiration to get up and go to the door. I think we kind of look at what all it's going to take to get from here to there all in one focus, if you will, instead of just looking at, okay, let's look at the first step in that. Get up. Oh, I can do that. I can get up, and then just keep going until you can't go anymore for that day. And the next day, pick up where you left off and keep going. It doesn't have to all be right now, There are a lot of people.
It's kind of like starting a plan, right? Like for health and fitness, for example, there's so many factors, right? There's supplements, there's the workouts, there's the food you're eating, the cardio versus the resistance training. There is so many different factors, down to like the clothes you wear. Like there's so many factors, right? And I think a lot of people try to focus on every single one at the same time instead of taking it one step at a time. Like, let's start with just walking every day and trying to eat slightly healthy. Okay, now that we've gotten that down, let's add in, tracking your food. Let's get to know what you're eating. You're continuing to walk. Let's keep going. And now you're to the point where, okay, now maybe you need a little bit more than the walk. Now we'll add the gym in. Like there's so many factors, but it doesn't have to be done right this instant. You can take your steps. Those little baby steps and those little hurdles will get you excited for the next one.
Yeah. And it's like we were saying at the beginning, it's, a year down the road, if you start now, a year down the road, you're going to look back and go, oh my God, I'm so glad I stuck with it, right? How many times have you heard that? Oh my God, I'm so glad I stuck with it. And my whole thing too is, well, the sooner you get started, the sooner you'll start seeing results. So if that's the intention, then just keep showing up every day. If you can only give 25%, give 25%. Get to the finish line. I want to see you get to the other side of this challenge. And life is a challenge right now. So I know you probably do it with your podcast, keep, cheering people on to keep going. And I think that's what we all need to do is just, if you see somebody struggling, encourage them to keep going if it's in their best interest. If they have decided that they're going to stop drinking, don't shame them. Congratulate them. Be like, why shouldn't I do that? Well, you should. So why don't you do that? Just encourage everybody.
I think that we lose that because we surround ourselves with the wrong people. Like, you can't stay around the people that are telling you not to make a change. The people that are intimidated by your success, because if you do this thing and you're successful, now they're not doing anything. And that's why they're shaming you. So just make your circle different. You can change your circle. Like, I can go from going to a bar every day to surrounding myself with people who go to the gym every day instead. Maybe we go to bed at 9 p.m. because we want to get up at 4 a.m. Like, those are the type of people I want to be around. I want to be around people that are growing, that are doing, not the people that are staying in the same place and not trying to change.
Yeah. And I think, too, if you are that miserable person that, you've been in the misery for so long, you don't see a way out, I don't know, maybe it comes down to your feeling of self-worth or lack of self-worth, you can change that. You don't have to stay stuck. That in itself is the choice, right? Is to choose that I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to be the one that when somebody says that they've done something good, that I feel less than or smaller or insignificant, So change is possible. You just have to really want to and make the choice to support yourself and to be around people that will support you.
And we shouldn't depend what we do on other people anyways. If you want to make a change and maybe nobody around you supports it, do it anyways.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else wants. If that's what you want, go for it.
And there's such a gratification to it, too, when you've picked yourself up out of the muck and you've actually succeeded at something. You finished the product. You saw it through from start to finish. The achievement is one of the best highs that I think I've probably ever had in my life, is reaching that pinnacle of what you deem is success. And that feels good. I would want everyone to feel that way at one point in their life.
So have you heard of 75 Hard?
No.
Andy Frisella? Okay, so that is a program where he created, it all started with him just doing like these, I think it's like 7 steps, and you do it for 75 days straight to prove to yourself that you can do anything as long as you like tell yourself to do it every day, right? And like, I've done it a few times. The first time you do it is the most life-changing thing you'll ever do, because what you're doing is you're doing these 7 things. So 2 workouts, 1 outside, no matter what the weather's like. I have walked in monsoons due to this program. You follow a diet, you drink
That's
water,
dedication.
you read a book. Yeah, it is. And like, what happens is, just because the circumstances aren't right that day doesn't mean you can't complete these tasks. And it teaches you that you have the discipline within you to do the things that you say you're going to do. And so once you do this, once you've done these tasks every single day for 75 days, whether that means staying up till 4 a.m. to complete a 45-minute walk, you are proving to yourself that you are capable of so much more, that you no longer listen to that voice in your head that tells you like every excuse in the book not to do something. You're like, oh, well, I have no excuse. I can do this. I chose not to do this if I don't do this. And it kind of teaches you that. And I think confidence is built within that, right? It's built within those little things that we do every single day, regardless of how we feel, regardless of circumstances. You are doing it because you're trying to get to this point. And it's those little steps that make all the difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, rising to a challenge, oh my gosh, Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes it can be scary. Sometimes it could be invigorating. I've found that there have been challenges in my life where I looked at it and I'm like, all right, bring it. Bring it. Let's do this, And when you go through a challenge with that type of mentality, I'll tell you what, it was a lot easier getting through those challenges than the ones that I was like, oh, no, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm choosing not to participate today. Those challenges are really hard, and I think resistance is futile. I think you just kind of have to. I surfed when I was younger, so if there was a wave that was probably a little bit too big for my bones, it didn't matter. If I committed, I was all in. It's either ride or die, right? You've got to go and ride it, or you've got to just dive it. And either way you choose, I think choosing to ride it is a lot better than just trying to swim against the current, because otherwise you're going to set yourself up for failure if you keep making those choices.
The idea of comfort scares the hell out of me. So I don't ever want to be, yes, I do not want to be comfortable, because comfortable means you're not growing. And I want to constantly grow until the day I die. If you are sitting there and you are comfortable every single day, you are not doing anything different and you are not challenging yourself. And that scares the heck out of me. I never want to be that person. And if I start to become that person, I will find something that I am terrified to do and just do it.
Yeah. That's interesting. When you said comfort, when I hear the word comfort, I think fuzzy blankets and cozy pillows and things like that. And I'm like, I don't think I could ever say I don't want comfort, because that's what comfort means to me. But I see your point of being comfortable with your life and the situation. Like, you have to grow. And the harder the circumstance, I think the more internal the growth process becomes,
Yeah.
And the sweeter the fruit at the end.
Yeah, and you just constantly keep going into something new. There's not just an end. We don't just get to the success and then we just live that out until we die. Like, things change and things happen, and we have to continue to learn and continue to grow. We can't stay in the same place. That's like saying I was successful in the 90s, but I'm not going to embrace technology. Right. Like, then now AI's here and I'm not going to use it. Like, no, that's not how that works. You have to kind of mold into the things that are growing around you. And I think a lot of people look at it like, I have this goal and that's just it. That's the only goal I have. Like, I'm not going to make any more after this.
Well, it's interesting. In my demographic, I'm dealing with, the Gen X people who, I'm going to point this out because my husband pointed this out the other day. We didn't realize how old we were until we realized that we knew life before microwave ovens. So we're definitely old, and dealing with a technology life that is progressing faster than we are. I really had to cater to my clients to say, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to get you from here to there. We're going to embrace technology. We're going to embrace the woo a little bit. And I started a program, it's called Signal Story Shift, and it's not unlike any other life coaching method. But the way I relate it to my clients is, in any case, look at your body. Just get into your body for just a minute. Sit still for just 30 seconds. That's all I ask, 30 seconds. Sit there. And just think about whatever decision you have to make and feel it in your body. Do I want to get up and go to the gym? Well, my body says no, but why does it say no? Is it because I'm hurting? Is it because I'm lazy? Because that brings awareness. And that moves you into the story part. What story are you relating to why you feel this way, right? Once you know those two things, you can make that shift into the growth. You can grow as long as you bring awareness to those first two parts. So I think you can teach an old dog new tricks if the dog really wants to learn. And so knowing who you're dealing with is half the battle.
Oh, 100%. I think it matters, person to person, not even just generation to generation, people within the generations. There's some that are willing to, explore new things. There's some willing to push. There's some of them stuck in their ways. My neighbor across the street still listens to the same music that he grew up with, and it's really loud.
All the time.
Like, all the time. Every
Yeah,
morning.
all the
It's like
time.
6 a.m. and it's just playing this music, and it's like headbanging music or
Oh my
hairband
God.
music or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro,
Because everybody
there's
wants
new
to hear it.
music.
Everybody wants to hear it, right? Oh, it's so annoying.
So it's just so funny how like some people just stick with the one thing and that's what they have the rest of their lives, and then there's other people that'll embrace things, and you got to know how to talk to each one differently.
Well, I know that there's a show I watch on YouTube on behavior, and one of the behaviorists on there, Greg Hartley, says the organism does what makes the organism successful. So if that's what he feels makes him successful, get up at 6 a.m. and listen to some hairband music banging and waking all my neighbors up to the point that they can't stand me, then I guess that's success for him. I don't know, but he does that because somehow he's matched success to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing that makes him feel all good inside or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's got a nice little tramp stamp too. It's just really funny.
I bet he's got an interesting story. I would like to hear that. Yeah, I want to know where you came from. What's your story? Yeah.
So before we end this, I want to talk a little bit on the human trafficking a little bit, because we talked about it a little bit in the beginning and then we never even got into it actually on the podcast.
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You said you had an experience.
Yeah, so it was probably about 15, 18 years into my career. I was renting a space in an office complex, and I was there for about 2 years, just getting my practice up and running, had other therapists working for me. It was going great. And the landlord decided to rent to another massage therapist, which I don't have a problem with at all, but it ended up being a front for one of the largest human trafficking organizations in the history of Texas. And I warned them that, make sure they're licensed. I don't care. There's enough work to go around. But over and over I was told, stay in your lane. You don't know what you're talking about. Stay in your lane. Well, it ended up being, a pretty horrendous ordeal. It was 14, I think, that they finally shut down places here just in the Georgetown, Central Texas area. But it went from California to Florida, ending up right at Jeffrey Epstein's feet. It went from Chicago all the way down to Houston. I mean, this was a pretty major organization that we're still fighting. And, bringing awareness to that is definitely paramount in my life, because at any time it can happen to any of us. At the time, I was just divorced, starting a new career, and if somebody had absconded with me on a Friday, no one would have come looking for me until Monday when I had an appointment. So when I saw an 8-year-old girl with a backpack going into this place and staying there all day, or I saw a 10-year-old going in and men bringing beer into the location, and nobody had a problem with that, I was willing to put my career on the line. I sacrificed my whole entire work. I mean, all the girls left, everything fell apart, but it was more important for me to get these girls to where they needed to be rather than where they were. And that, to me, that was a life-changing moment, for sure.
How did you figure out what was going on? Was it just the things that you've observed? Like, what did...
So, the majority of... I don't advertise. I work in conjunction with doctors in my area. So neurosurgeons, neurologists, orthopedic surgeons, they refer to me. So they were referring patients to me, and the patients were going back reporting that I was showing up with leather pants or shorts and a tank top and high heels, and it smelled kind of funky, and I didn't speak English, and all of these things, and men coming in with beer, clothes hanging outside to dry. They were reporting this back to the doctors that it was my location, that it was my office. So the doctors were calling me going, what is going on over there? I don't understand. This is what my patients are telling me. What is going on? And because I only had a sign outside my door, and not a blinky light like they did that said massage, people were going in there thinking that it was my office. So when I got word about that, I went down there to find out what was going on. And I found there was one girl in the back who was sleeping. She didn't really speak English, but she did say her name was Kellie. And they had come around before renting the space, finding out all the things about my business. The names of the therapists that worked there, the services that we offered, the times that we were open and closed. So they had a legitimate business to anchor to make them seem more legit. So I remember even seeing their business card that said, buy 10 Happies, get 2 Happies free. So, I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to learn that the photocopy of a license on the wall was not the person that was asleep that I had to wake up in the back room. You know, I didn't have condoms outside my office. Why do you have condoms outside your office? You know, why are these little kids going in and staying 8 and 12 hours a day? Why aren't they in school? Like, nobody asked. So I had to do a lot of the investigating. I had to do a lot of the, you know, filming and writing down license plates. I did that for probably about a year and a half before the Attorney General finally took notice. And when they did, it took them another year and a half to 2 years to prosecute, to get the stuff that they needed in order to get everything shut down. But after they got it shut down, 45 minutes later, they were open in another location. So it's just...
It's something that, like, we can't even, like, there's not enough people to stand up against any of this or pay attention or even, like, turn things in to even make that much of a difference. Like you said, they just opened up in a different location, which is absolutely crazy how many people can see little things and not pay attention.
Well, nobody wants to get involved.
Want to do anything.
Nobody wants to get involved. When I tried to bring awareness to this, the police told me that at first they told me that I was just jealous because I wasn't making that much money, which was not it at all.
The police said that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The landlord and the police were kind of like, are you sure it's not just, you know, jealous that they're seeing more people than you? Or I'm like,
no.
Landlord
knew. Landlord knew.
Yeah. Oh, how could you not know? Right? How could you not know? The plumbers were called out numerous times for clogged toilets because of condoms. Somebody knows.
Yeah.
Somebody knows. So yeah, it was a long process, but I think what I have to look at is if I made a difference for one of those girls, it was worth it. And 2, I can feel good about myself that when the time came that a challenge faced me head on, especially one that had such moral and dire consequences. Some of these women ended up into organ harvesting. So this is not just a labor thing or a sex thing or these are serious things. I can feel good about myself that I stood up and I feel like I did the right thing. Would I do it all again? Yes, but I think I would have done it a little bit differently and expected a lot different of an outcome.
Well, I think you say that now because you've experienced it, right? When we experience something, we can do better the next time. We find things that we could do better. But when you're in, like, a crisis like that, where you're just thinking, like, I have to do something, I don't even know what to do, where to start, but I have to make an action. And, like, that, at that point, you're doing the best you can with what you have in the moment.
Well, and I was so idealistic, and I don't know why I should have not been so idealistic, because I was married to law enforcement for 20 years. So I know how the system works, and I know where they put the resources and where they don't put the resources. But when you're talking about kids, you know, I just felt like this shouldn't be so difficult to get something done, at least something done. I mean, as a community, why is this okay that they're hiding in plain sight? Why are we okay with this? Why is this place right in the middle of 5 different schools between elementary and middle school? Kids are walking by here all the dang time. Nobody is concerned. I don't know. Like you said earlier, the empathy and the compassion that go along with daily living and the choices that we make, I think that we really need to look around a little bit. Look at what we've created by the choices that we continue to make and the ones that have gone before us. Isn't it time to choose something better? I don't know.
Well, it's just like if you see somebody being wrongly treated in public, most people will just continue to walk by. So it's something like that, right? Like instead of stepping in, saying something because they don't want to get involved and have conflict. People avoid conflict.
I had doctors that wouldn't back me up because they didn't want to put their name out there and associated with some type of business that had criminal and sexual undertones. So, like, when I went to the Attorney General and they're going, well, who are you? You're just some massage therapist down here in Austin. Why should we listen to you? So I went to the doctors and I'm like, hey, could you help me out here? Put your name on the little paper and say that, you too see this stuff? Nobody would help me.
Which is insane. I would want to put my name on trying to help something like that, right? Like, I feel like that's a noble thing to do, not like a bad thing to do.
But they kept referring their patients to me. They kept putting their patients in the same situation. It was like, you want your patients exposed to that? I don't know.
I told you what's happening. What is going on?
Right. Either help me so I can help you and your clients, or... it did. It finally got to a point where it was like, okay, well, they're not going to be any help, so I'm just going to have to do this for myself. So, yeah.
Well, it's crazy, too, the whole theory on, like, ants coming together can do anything, right? So all of us can come together and do anything, but because we don't, that's why things don't get done. Like, that could have been a totally different situation if you had people backing you.
Well, and that whole... polarity that we were talking about, right? North and south, you have to have that centrifugal force that has, everything orbiting around it. Well, we are that force. We are. The people are. We are. And so if we can stay unified, then we don't go to extremes. Then you don't have things like this happening in plain sight. You don't have to worry about your kids walking down the street. You don't have to worry about walking across the parking lot and not bend over to, tie your shoe because you're always got your head on a swivel going, okay, who's going to get me? We don't have to live in that world, but it comes down to a choice. Are we going to rise up when the challenge is presented to us and take advantage of, their power in numbers, so the more we stick together, the more we unify on these issues, then the less we'll have to deal with later, and we can all benefit from it. For certain, we can all benefit from it.
Yeah, it's a scary world we live in. I feel like there's so much evil in this world, and not enough people willing to fight it.
Yeah, you can feel it too. You can feel when you turn something on the screen, or you go to the grocery store, you go to an event, you can tell the toxic areas. You're just like, okay, I'm going to not go over there, and I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to talk to those people, and hope they don't look over here, because it is just so toxic right now that it's. I feel like I'm back in COVID. Like, don't touch anything, don't touch me, don't touch anything. Whatever.
I've gotten to the point where I can read somebody within the first probably 5 minutes of talking to them. And if something's off, I know there's something off, and I will just distance myself because once you're aware and you're paying attention, you notice things such as bad vibes that are real. They're real.
Yeah.
Like if you feel uneasy around somebody, there's a reason for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially if they're carrying those high intensity vibrations like anger or grief. Those two polarities, you can really see it.
You feel it.
A lot of times my godmother, she always tells me, she goes, it's so interesting to go into public with you because being intuitive and being an empath, I'll be sitting there, we'll be sitting at lunch, and I'll see a couple over across the room breaking up or something, and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I bet she's, oh my gosh, he's not even telling her the truth. Oh my gosh. And you can just tell by the body vibration, the whole body language, and yeah. So it's interesting when you start tuning into people and their behavior. You can learn a lot.
Talk about nerding out. I love nerding out over psychology. So.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. Body language. I love body language and psychology. Yeah, learning a lot about people.
I love digging into like the way people think, why they do the things they do, how they react to things, the body language, all of it. Like, it's crazy.
Well, that's why I did my podcast, Choice Beyond Logic, because I wanted to know why we made these choices, why we think the way that we do, why we might think one way and behave in another. That fascinates me. You know, we're so connected, but yet we're so disconnected from ourselves and from the rest of the world.
It's so crazy. Like, I used to think, like, is there something wrong with me? Because, like, I always, like, I'm not into, like, the murder mystery shows or, like, stuff like that, or, like, the podcast or whatever, but I always loved trying to figure out why serial killers are the way they are. So,
yes,
like, I did
too.
a whole, like, research report on Ted Bundy when I was in college.
Yeah.
Like, I just love diving into like why they are. It sickens me what they do, and like half the time when they have a show about it, I can't watch half of it because they're like cutting something off, or I'm just like, I can't do that. But
the fascination between
like,
sociopaths and psychopaths, and I think it comes down to because people like you and I, we don't think like that. We couldn't even possibly think like that. So for us, it's so completely out of the scope that all we can do is try to understand it. And that, I love that. I love diving into that psychology of a criminal or of a mastermind, you know, how they pulled that off or how they could con people. You know, these big cons.
Yeah.
I got conned out of $300,000. Yeah,
Dang.
$300,000. And I'll tell you what, it was one of the best lessons ever in my life. I don't want to say I'm glad it happened because I would really rather not have $300,000 gone. However, it was one of the best.
$10,000. That was the close.
Yeah, but the psychology behind that, right? Because you think that you're impervious to the con. But you're not. Nobody is. There is no 100% I'm never going to fall for that.
You just never know. Sometimes it's a business idea that you just feel like you can't pass up, and then oh crap, here it goes.
Yeah,
getting that back.
And that was my deal. That was my deal. It's like, okay, well, I guess for me it wasn't so bad because I felt like going in, I had made the decision. If it doesn't work out, I know what it means, and so either I'm all in or I'm all out.
In a sense, it's a gamble.
Yeah,
you know, and it's the same thing.
I was born in Las Vegas, so I get it. Yeah, you're going to roll them, and it may be crap or it may not. But yeah, but even still, you know, I wasn't impervious to the things that went on. I was aware, but you can't just put a hold on it. You can't just stop it in its tracks. It has to play out. That energy has to kind of play out. So.
Well, and it's a lesson, too, I feel like, when you get scammed like that, like, we're not only just looking at it like, oh, I'm out that money, oh, my God, poor me. We're looking at, like, what did I do to fall for that? Like, why did they trick me? How did that work? And then now you're learning a lesson that you'll take with you on every other adventure that you go on.
It's interesting that you say that. So I honestly asked for that. After I got divorced, I was sitting in my apartment with nothing, starting over. Okay, but I was free, right? I was free. And I remember asking, okay, I'm already down. Now would be the good time for my hardest life lesson learned in the softest way. Just give me whatever I got to learn. I promise I'll follow the rules. I'll do what I got to do. I'll pick myself up and I will continue on after that. But give it to me hard in a soft way. And that's when I got conned out of the $300,000. But like I said, I landed on my feet. I rose back up. It was all fine. But I think going into that challenge, eyes open, asking for it and saying, okay, I know that there's a lot I still need to learn after this whole relationship thing. I want it now while I'm open to it. And that kind of leads me into that whole Kellie Best, that last name. So I was really in that, affirmations and writing down intentions and, make the whole list of what you don't want and what you do want. And I kept writing, just please send me the best man for me. Please send me the best man for me. Please send me the best man for me. He showed up with the last name of Best.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It works. You have to have the intention. You have to show up every day. You have to go through all the process, the signal story shift, but you can make the shift with better choices.
And that was your second husband then?
That's my second husband. And we are so simpatico. We are just so, like I said, he's a tech guy. I'm a therapist, so we're different worlds, but we just blend. And we're two givers. And his mom told us that too, is that if you ever want to find the perfect partner, find a giver, especially if you are a giver. Because it doesn't work if you're with a giver or a taker and you're the opposite. But two givers, you never have to look out for yourself because the other person's always looking out for you.
And it comes in different ways too. Like when people think of giver, they think giving things, items, right? It's not like that. Sometimes it's compassion, it's protection, it's, just the little things along the way. And I think we miss that sometimes.
Yeah, the two most said phrases in our house are thank you and I love you. Thank you and I love you. And we'll even joke about it. Thank you, I love you. Thank you, I love you, because we're always saying it. And I think that is paramount to any kind of relationship you have, whether it's a network, whether it's a coworker, your parents, your kids. Have that exchange to where you're telling them that you're grateful for them and acknowledging the things that they do, because when you're compassionate for somebody and you do things for them, those things matter, because once they're gone, they're gone. You don't get those back.
And it's so much more than just a relationship at that point, right? Like it's home. It's where I want to be. I don't want, I love being home with my husband, even if we're not doing anything. Maybe we're on the different pages. It's just this place that I just love to be in. Anyone who doesn't like to go home is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and my first marriage was like that. Like, I didn't want to go home. Like, his energy was so toxic. It was so nauseating. It physically made me sick. And so now it's a 180. And that's another thing that I try to teach my clients through my experience, not my holier than thou, standing, you need to do this, and judgment and all that. But I try to teach from where I experienced my hardship and where I found strength and where I found the fortitude to keep going. And a lot of it, one of the things I love about my husband now is that we laugh constantly. We wake up laughing, we go to bed laughing, we're laughing all day in between. We've got all these inside jokes. I think we can carry on a whole dialogue full of inside jokes. So it's a complete 180, and it's so much better. So much better.
It is. And especially if you've had the opposite, like you appreciate it even more when you get it, when you find it.
Yeah.
And I think we all do that. We all have bad relationships, not necessarily marriages, but like everyone's had some relationship where they just didn't belong in that relationship.
Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay to say goodbye. It's okay to close that chapter and move on, because you're not going to get to the chapters you do want to live if you stay stuck in the ones you don't.
Nope. Back to those choices.
Yeah. It just comes down to that choice. Well, and the visual of you giving 25% today and 75% tomorrow, that's a great visual, because you don't always have to give it 100%. I know that's what we're conditioned to, and maybe that's where that trip comes up, to where we didn't give it our 100%. Now we're feeling shameful, and I'm just going to go down there. What's the point, instead of just giving what you can and letting that be enough. I tell my clients, because
not every day is going to be the same.
Right. Well, with my schedule, I'm busy now until after the first of the year, which not a lot of people want to wait that long to get in. But if they call or they text and they say, hey, do you have anything available this week? I'm really hurting or whatever. My response is always, I'll do what I can when I can. That's all I can do. If I can create a space for you, or if somebody cancels or something, I can make it happen, I certainly will. But I can't put that on myself as my responsibility anymore, because I think that's what makes you feel bad, when you can't perform for people.
Yeah, you expect perfection from yourself, which is not reality. Like
Yeah.
we're not going to be perfect all the time, and we can't always be there for everybody else when we're not being there for ourselves. So there has to
Well,
be some type of balance.
certainly when you don't get that in return, right? When you go out into the world and customer service is less than ideal and the quality of food is not optimal and, what you're getting isn't perfection either. So there's this huge disconnect between what your expectation is and what you're actually getting.
And not everybody has high expectations for themselves either, so they're not going to give what you expect either.
Yeah.
So you have to know that like not everyone is going to be what you expect them to be all the time. Like that's just a reality on both sides. You have to have a realization for yourself and for others.
Yeah, realistic expectations for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap this up, this was great, actually. I loved all of our conversation. Thank you so
Me too.
much for coming on.
You're so welcome.
We might
Thanks
have to
for
do
having
another
me.
one.
Anytime. If you're hurting for people, just let me know.
All right, because I think the conversation flowed so well, we could talk about anything.
Yeah, I wasn't really too worried. When I saw you, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. So I would love to have you back again. But if you want, is there a last message you want to leave everybody?
I think just, give yourself a little grace and just remember that you can make better changes with better choices. Just choose to make the better choice and you will see a better change. I guarantee it. You just have to have the right intention and you have to show up.
And where can people find you if they're interested in getting your life coaching?
Oh, you can contact me at kelliebest.com.
Very easy. See that? Best?
Yeah, it's very straightforward. I don't want to make it difficult.
I love that. Okay, well, until next time, guys. Bye.